There you are. Let me just park my arse. Right, what I'm going to do is take a photo of Tyler here.
Hi. How you doing?
But it's going to be a headshot, and secondly, I'm going to use a lens with a big aperture. That means it's going to let a lot of light through the lens, so I can separate my subject from the background. But I want to go a step further, and I want to get Tyler's eye in focus, but by the time the focus gets to his ear, it's going to be blurred out. So it's going to be quite dramatic. And by the time the focus gets to the background, which I'm using this polystyrene grey background which has got a textured finish on it, and I think once that's blurred it's going to look quite nice. Plus it's going to be nicely separated from Tyler, so it's going to be quite a dramatic portrait. The only problem is, because the depth of field is going to be so shallow, it's going to be easy to miss, so I might have to take multiple shots to nail focus in the right place, which will be dead on his eye. The first thing is what lens to use. Now, if I can reach it, this is the first choice. This is a kit lens, 18mm to 135mm focal length. Now this lens is pretty good, but the only way I'm going to get a blurred background with this lens is to pretty much have it zoomed all the way out. In that state, the aperture's quite small, so it's not going to let much light through it. If I use it at its widest angle of 18mm, that's not going to blur the background. Secondly, and more importantly, if you use a wide angled lens to take a picture of somebody standing up full length, that's fine in most cases. But if you're taking a picture of somebody's head, you don't want to use a wide angle lens, and there's a very good reason. If I had a grid of lines and I used a wide angle lens and took a picture of that grid of lines, you would notice the lines become bowed like this way, barrel distortion, or inwards, which would be pin cushion distortion, and you would see them lines out of shape, and your pictures would be out of shape, and which means somebody's face, if you fill the frame with somebody's face, their face would be out of shape. Now the average bloke probably wouldn't notice this, but women, they would notice. You can count on that one. My second choice is a 35mm lens. Now this lens has an aperture of f1.8. That means it lets a lot of light through it. As you can see, the diameter is quite big. In fact, if I compare it to the kit lens, the two together, you can see the diameter that's letting the light through the middle. Substantially bigger. That means I can let a lot of light through this lens. The only trouble with this lens being 35mm, with the crop factor on my camera of 1.6, it makes this lens a 56mm lens, so it's just creeping into the portrait range, but that will come with a little bit of distortion. Probably wouldn't notice it, but I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go the whole hog, and we're going to use the 85mm. This is an equivalent on my camera of 136mm. And if I compare the aperture on the 85 here to the 35, you can see how much bigger the 85 is. And when you compare the 85 to the kit lens, it's bloody huge. So this lens, look at that. Look at the blooming aperture in that. That is letting an absolute ton of light through. I absolutely love this lens. This is my headshot lens. If this lens was a woman, I'd slap her arse Anyway, I'm getting off track. This is the lens I'm going to use. I'm going to stick this on the camera and I'm going to use one flash. That's right, with one light you can make it even more dramatic. Oh, just to give you an idea of what a wide angle lens can do to your face, watch the corner of this screen. You see? It's like the House of Mirrors. I need to get out more. I'm going to take this first picture with Tyler and I'm going to show you the problem we're going to have. Right, the red on this shows overexposure. So what I'm going to do to stop this so we can get a proper exposure is I'm going to fit a neutral density filter onto our lens. Now we can cut down the light, but we can keep the, we can keep the aperture wide open. This being a variable filter, I'm going to set it to around about halfway and see how we go.
Do you like mine? Sounds creepy. It's not a face. Oh, my eyes.
That's better. So I'm just going to turn our neutral density filter a little bit more to shut out the light, just a bit more.
Hi.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler, for being the assistant aunt.
Yes.
You can go back to your PlayStation now, but listen, you've got half an hour, then we've got to go out for a bike ride.
But listen, where's my money? Ah!
Yeah. Within the space of 3 shots, I've managed to get a perfect exposure and create the effect I'm looking for. If you notice Tyler's eye here, they're pretty sharp. But by the time you get to his ears, see how blurred they are and see how blurred his hair is. And when you get to his clothes, you see they're blurred as well. And the background's completely blown out and dark. But it's given a nice dramatic effect, and that's what I was looking for. As long as the eyes are sharp, that's the important thing. I think that makes for a nice portrait shot. I might even print that one. Anyway, that's it. Till the next time, keep learning. Adios. You're still here? Just one last thing before you go. See them little catch lights in his eyes? That's the beauty dish. What the beauty dish does, it mimics your pupils in your eyes. You get a white circle with a little black dot in the middle, and they should be towards the upper half of your eyes. I just thought I'd point that out. That's it. Adios.